It's really sad how our country has changed and how we have damaged our ability to be full, frank, open and honest with each other. And I would say much of that change has come round through the changes in our mainstream or legacy news media. And I was interested to read over the weekend a piece in The Spectator in Australia. Very good piece about the death, essentially, of the New Zealand news media. And I look at the byline, it was written by none other than Yvonne van Dongen, who is a long-time New Zealand long-form journalist and writer. But I thought her piece was very, very apposite, and someone who's been on the platform a few times. And I wanted Yvonne to join us this morning and talk us through what she wrote and why. Yvonne, welcome back. Lovely to have you with us again.
Lovely to be here, Sean, even though you know I'm never a great enthusiast.
Oh, you're always worried about being on the road. Oh, I'm terrible. You're actually very natural and you're very good, Yvonne, and I don't mean that in a patronising way.
No, I believe you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to shoot my gobby mouth off. Certainly serves me right.
All right. Tell us about this piece you wrote in the Spectator. What was the headline you put on it again? Or they put on it? The death of New Zealand's main... Yeah.
Yeah, that was my headline, Death of New Zealand's Mainstream Media. And it had been something I've been thinking about for such a long time, but I stupidly kept banging on the doors hopelessly with all these stories I have on what's happening as a result of gender ideology. And some of them are really serious. They're basically child abuse, which is how we're medicalising young people in the name of trans ideology. All sorts of things. A point of view that was never allowed. No one would ever do the stories. Occasionally I got something in, and then I think for the listener, they rewrote it to give it a pro-trans angle. I just could not get heard. And then when Kelly J came to the country, I looked at all the reports, all the news reports, and they still haven't. And she's still called anti-trans. And if you call her anti-trans, you're buying into what the opposition says about her.
Who's the opposition? Let's define the opposition here, Yvonne.
Well, the opposition are all those who support gender ideology. And gender ideology is, as I say, an unverifiable system of beliefs. To believe in gender ideology, you have to believe, it's a religion. So there's your sexed body, that's the body that you live in, and we all understand that. And then there's this thing called gender. And gender is this magic, womanish or mannish essence, or this kind of female ectoplasm, I don't know, and it can get stuck in the wrong body. It can get stuck. I don't know, don't ask me how. It's a spirit, that is a religious concept, whatever it is. And this magic essence can be stuck in the wrong body, and there you are, a man, but God damn it, you're really a woman. I mean, it's about as mad as those people who said that the vaccines contain bots or something. There's a bot in your body that's telling you that you're not what you are.
You have to go to another radio station to listen to that stuff, Yvonne.
Yes, I know. Yeah, but I mean, it's just crazy. But it's now accepted as orthodoxy that there is such a thing. But there is not such a thing. I wish people would just wake up and say, this is gibberish.
Okay, Yvonne, I have to ask you then, are you mad at the mainstream media because they don't agree with you that it's gibberish, or do you think something more is structurally wrong media-wise here?
Oh, well, I think there's something structurally. Yes, I'm mad that they can't see that this is a religion. And also, why are they not reporting about actual things that are happening? Actual data shows that we're medicalising children at 10 times the rate they were in Tavistock when that was closed. There are actual...
Right, hang on. That's important because Tavistock is, if people who don't know, that was basically the medical regendering
that was the
thing.
gender
And they've closed that and there are now huge problems. Are you saying that's happening here?
Oh, yeah. There's research done by Fully Informed, who are really fantastic nerds, data nerds, and they've got that information, and that's out there. We've only just recently removed the health department sort of statement about puberty blockers being safe and reversible. I mean, this is absurd. They're not safe and reversible, and everybody's known this. This has been walked back all over the world, all over the Western world. People know this is happening. So I'm really frustrated because people are not aware that there is a huge movement against this overseas, and that movement is winning. And can I tell you some good news, Sean? Some really good news about Kelly J. You know how she said she was going to start the Party of Women last week?
Yeah,
and
she did. Yeah.
Yes. And Keir Starmer came out yesterday and said trans rights do not trump women's rights. And, of course, women don't have a penis. So, she's already made a huge difference.
Wow.
Amazing.
Imagine Chris Hipkins saying that.
Exactly.
Should I ask him at the press conference today?
Why don't you?
All right, I'll give it a crack, as it were.
Yeah, because Labour realise in Britain they've got a woman problem, a huge woman problem. The pushback there is really big. People can see, as I believe New Zealanders can see, that the media is presenting a one-sided view of this, and it's all from the pro-trans angle. It's pro-gender woo, basically. It's not even an argument. It's gender woo, really.
Do you think it would be fair to say that Kelly J. Keane-Mitchell was demonised by mainstream media before her arrival in New Zealand?
Oh, absolutely. You could write a fabulous essay on the making of a witch. They did demonise her, and they still do. After she'd gone, I saw an article in the Herald, and again it was pulling out all these things to do with her so-called association, guilt by association. And this is I don't know any of that. I don't actually care about her guilt by association. I care about the arguments. And this is a way of deflecting, debate, deflecting sort of people's views. Yeah. Oh, look over there, she's a bad person. And therefore what she's saying, that people can't change sex, and that, then that we don't have to examine the actual basics of what she's saying.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I felt cross about, they called her anti-trans, and yet she's saying basically the same thing that Speak Up for Women are saying. It hits their heart. And the courts determined that you could not in any way, shape or form call them an anti-trans organisation. So you're not allowed to call them anti-trans.
So there's actually a legal ruling that she isn't anti-trans or that you could point to?
Well, for Speak Up for Women, but she's saying the same things. She's saying pretty much the same things at heart.
So why do you think it is that the Herald Television New Zealand in particular, News Hub, spin-off stuff, all took the same angle? It must be true if they all are reporting the same thing.
I don't think it's true, and I think I can prove it's true, and they don't want to examine the arguments. I think I've said it before, they're just pack animals. I don't think there's this conspiracy, not at all. But I don't think people want to upset those around them, and so it's just the accepted. Everybody wants to be right, don't they? This right side of history. I hate that phrase, but they seem to equate this with homosexual law reform. People are not thinking; they're just behaving as part of their tribe. That's what I think they're doing. And if you step outside, you are demonised. You're demonised. In certain circles, the political and journalists and academic elite, this is what goes for the current thought patterns. This is what is acceptable thought. And you can't go against it. You can't if you want to survive. And I've had people tell me, I can't say it, I can't agree with you because I'll lose my job. It's terrifying. Do we not have freedom of speech in New Zealand? No, we don't.
Well, Yvonne, I wondered, you talked to me, over a year ago as I was setting up the platform and did a piece, and you contacted me quite concerned about what you'd written and what North and South wanted to publish, right? They wanted to put some bits in that weren't nice about me.
Yeah,
they did, and then I got a public retraction from them because the bits they put in were wrong and factually incorrect, and it had nothing to do with you. It was that North and South wanted, I think all we can conclude from that, North and South wanted to paint me in a bad light.
Yeah, that's what people do. It was they had about 4 subs look at my stories, and all their criticisms, I suppose they're all of an age too, and it's not my generation, but all the criticisms were mainly guilt by association. And that's the only tool in the toolbox of the woke, really. That's what it is, And woke is really, it's victim worshipping. It's a valorization of victimhood, really. So once someone's determined to be a victim, you can't say anything bad about them. Trans people are supposed to be the most victimized people in the world, and women should just shut the F up, But I don't think that's true. I don't think that if you looked at this rates of violence against trans women as opposed to women, I wonder how that comes. I don't know. So
it's funny, the media, 8-9 days ago was there, as I said earlier in the program, there were Nazis going to invade us. There were Hitler Youth on every street corner. We have this thing, Posey Parker and other women are assaulted and denied their right to free speech while the police stand by. And now the mainstream media are just not interested. Oh, that was nothing.
I know.
They've just moved on.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I really am. And I've seen on, social media people trying to justify the older woman stumbling towards the man. I don't know what she was doing, but then, she was charging at him like a bull. I thought, terrifying, a 74-year-old woman charging at him like a bull. Of course, you've got to punch that woman. I don't understand this desperate justification to paint her as evil. And I've heard people say, there was faults on both sides at that event. And I thought, what? We just stood there. We didn't chant. We didn't shout.
You were there,
we knew not to aggravate. Yeah, I was there. Oh, my God.
Was it a celebration of love, joy and togetherness?
Oh, no.
What was it?
Insane. It was a bunch of women waiting to hear her quietly, knowing that there was a bunch of angry, largely children behind us, and with their drums and their whistles, sort of like a gathering of play centre or something. And then there was, so we just waited. And then they just saw they could take the chance. They saw there was no police and they went berserk. It was a mob. It was a mob. Yeah. I've never been in such a crazy mob before.
But you must have listened to Media Works and the young journalist from the Herald who Media Works on saying, lovely, and it's been over-egged a little bit, Yvonne.
Oh, really? Well, I'd love them to be in the middle of it, where they were probably on the edges being reported.
Oh, and one of them was up the back and the other one said, there was a little bit of tension.
Oh, when your free speech is denied also by a bunch of people mobbing it, is no one concerned about that? Do we not care about free speech, or is it only speech that you like? That's what bothers me the most, and it's basic. There's a denial of reality and denial of the right to free speech. These are really, really important things. And we seem to be going down the fantasy route. I don't quite get it. I don't get it. It's disturbing.
Yvonne, I wanted to in some ways get personal now.
Yeah, right.
And we go back a year or two in that piece you wrote about me, and I don't know, I got the feeling that for you, because I was saying things to you that you thought I was being a bit far-fetched about how screwed the media was and what the change needed to be. Do you get what I was getting at now?
Oh, yeah, completely. And I have been, because of my own experience with trying to get gender stories in, I have been aware that there is an agenda in certain topics. But
I'm going to be honest, Yvonne, are you in some ways being cancelled by the industry you've worked in your whole life?
Oh, absolutely.
What?
And not just me personally, this topic. There's not like, I would shut the F up if someone else was writing about it. I wouldn't feel the need to do it. I could do a million other things. But no one else is able to present a different viewpoint. Every now and then, I think RNZ interviewed Kathleen Stock, and they did interview Kelly J. Every now and then you make headway, but no one's really examining it because it's disturbing. And it's going, the rollout through schools, it's in the...
So what's the rollout through schools, Yvonne?
Well, it's in the guidelines. This whole gender ideology is in the curriculum guidelines, and I don't think teachers have to do it, have to take it on board and talk to their children. But then I hear through, people telling you that, yes, one teacher said to some young primary school children, no, you're a girl now, but you might be later on. It's possible you could be a boy. Things like, it's there. It's there as something that should be taken seriously, and it's not. It should be thrown out. It's a thought experiment that should have just stayed in universities, and now it's mutated and got out and gone mad. It's people shouldn't take it seriously. I really don't think they should. I think it's disturbing. It's disturbing. Yeah. Really. But denial of reality.
Yeah, there seems to be a fair bit of that going on, Yvonne. So if mainstream media is dead, as you suggest in your Spectator piece, and it's well written and I think a compelling case, how do we revive it?
I don't know, Sean. I think it's... I suppose there's people like you, the platforms, they'll see maybe that there is another place, but they'll dismiss you as fringe. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe it's the loss of older journalists. I remember when I went into journalism, there was a whole lot of old geezers on the sub-bench, and we were these, every generation thinks they're going to change the world, and we were these sort of young, passionate firebrands, and they were these old cynics pouring scorn on us. But maybe you need that. Maybe you do, and there's a loss of that.
Well, I think back exactly the same way, Yvonne. It's the circle of life, really.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is this wokeism is the norm. I went for a job interview, which I completely blew the other day in the media. Completely blew it. Anyway, I was trying to, and failing, to explain that, in fact, the person interviewing me thought I'd gone down a rabbit hole. And I thought, no, I am the mainstream. Most people do not believe this. The media has gone down the gender ideology, religious, rabbit hole. They have. I think they have.
And now they're gaslighting us. They're gaslighting us.
Yeah. And I honestly believe, I do not believe the public believes it. I don't. The general Kiwi, they don't sit there and think, oh, I might be something else, or deep down, you could be born in the wrong body. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. What is born in the wrong body?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I don't believe Kiwis believe it. I think they're far too common sense and far too sensible to think things like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're being bludgeoned by their university.
How's it been in your private life, Yvonne? Have you lost friends? And I was saying, I said on Twitter over the weekend, I'm increasingly talking to people who want to engage and come on the platform, people in official positions, right? And they're saying, you're basically blacklisted. The platform is blacklisted as conspiracy theorists because there's some secret report from the Disinformation Project that's gone around. Poor old Ben, my young producer there, has to deal with this. But I'm wondering personally if you have found you've got friends who are also, because of the mainstream media's influence on them, have decided that you're crazy.
Yeah, yes, and I don't. Yes, and also it's mainstream media. Also, they're not. I think especially women on the left, they want to be, diversity, inclusion, equality. They want to be kind of nice and include everybody and see them as victims. And so I think that their niceness, that kind of willingness has kind of weaponized against them, so they don't want to think about it too hard. Yeah, definitely. There's people who have said, on social media that they, really disagree with my so-called transphobia, and obviously I think that they're gone burger. But and there's others who are,
So you'd be a TERF now. You're a Nazi fundamentally, Yvonne.
Oh yeah, I'm all those things. I'm terrible. I know. But look, I'll lose my grip on reality if I have to believe gender ideology.
I tell you what I ask you to do now, and it might be uncomfortable. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Name names. Tell me the worst publications and the worst journalists for this gaslighting and this bullshit.
I don't know about journalists in particular. I mean, I've just given up on the spin-off and stuff.
Oh, yeah, but they were always nutters. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, the Herald. God, the Herald does these TV reports. It was terrible. God, the Herald has been universally terrible. Yeah. And I used to think that they might be sort of a bit more old school. It's like those old school things of having to verify. Like no one has to justify calling people anti-trans or labelling them. They don't have to justify it. But they would never call Marama Davidson anti-white. They wouldn't do that.
Well, she's anti-cis white men.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do that. Because,
you wouldn't make that a label on them, would you? Yeah.
Well, because there's no such thing. You see, they don't believe in truth. They believe in power dynamics or the power analysis. And they'd think, cis white men, they're in power, so they can't be a victim. They can't be, nothing's hurting them. So it's all to do with power. It's nothing to do with truth anymore.
Yeah.
That is what this whole wokeism is about, the victim worshipping.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. And it's really disturbing to see in New Zealand. I do think we're more divided than ever before. I really do. I think it's scary. Don't you? Don't you sense that
I'm trying to do something about it, Yvonne. And
I know you do.
I really am.
Yeah, I'm just concerned of what I can see, these real fractures out there. It worries me. It worries me that people are silenced for expressing some concerns about certain issues, whether you agree with it or not. It's just, and that the people in power seem to think that that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's also concerning. Yeah. So,
Yvonne, always good talking to you, always good publishing you. I'm going to talk to Spectator and see if we can publish that as well. You wouldn't mind?
Oh, good. I've got to find a whole new way of working now. Okay.
Well, you're on. Yeah. I'm going to say it, you're on the side of the angels, even though I'm not religious. Thank you, Yvonne.
No, neither am I. Okay, nice to chat. Thanks.
That is Yvonne van Dongen, good journalist, good writer, woman, I'd say a feminist writer, just on the madness of the world we are living in.